Ken, while we just have a few minutes here, you broke the story about Pete Alonso. Can you give us more information about what you heard and what that tells you about what the Mets might be thinking this offseason?
Well, Scott, the story was simply that the Brewers made a push for Alonso at the deadline. And how close they came to making that deal is kind of a matter of perspective. The Brewers thought they were somewhat close. One source told me within field goal range. The Mets dispute that. They said it never got to a point where really it was that close to happening. Regardless, the real question here is what are the Mets going to do with Pete Alonso? One more year of club control after this year. He is a unique slugger in today's game in Mets history. First Met with 435 home run seasons. His next home run will be his 40th. He will then have 340 home run seasons. That's more than the entire organization and its history combined. So Pete Alonso can be your linchpin going forward. Will the Mets sign him to an extension that would begin in his age 30 season? I'm not convinced that their analytics people and their general manager, Billy Epler, want to do that. Do they want to go long-term with Pete Alonso? That's a real interesting question. And we're going to find out the answer eventually because either they trade him this offseason, and as the Brewers' interest showed, any team can take on what his salary will be, $21-22 million in arbitration, his final year, or do the Mets seek to sign him to an extension? And the third option would be allowing him to go to free agency the way the Yankees did with Judge and try to re-sign him then. Judge is an interesting comp here, and not statistically so much as Judge is a guy who proved he can thrive in New York. Pete Alonso has done the same. There's value to that. And as I wrote today also, if you keep putting together 40 home run seasons, as Alonso has, you're going to be on a Hall of Fame track. The Mets have only two players in the Hall of Fame represented with their uniform on their plaques. That would be Seaver and Mike Piazza. So all of these factors kind of combine into the whole stew and the whole decision-making process. But we'll see where the Mets go. Now, people say, well, Alonso's going to require an 8-year deal, a 9-year deal. Not necessarily. Paul Goldschmidt got a 5-year extension, and Freddie Freeman got a 6-year free agent deal from the Dodgers at ages that were even beyond Alonso's. So yes, he could argue that he wants more years, but you can do a 5-year, 6-year deal for high dollars, high salaries, and go about it that way. Again, this is a decision that the Mets are going to have to make. If they want to trade him this offseason, they'll be able to, but the greater value would have been at the deadline when he was available for 2 pennant races and not one.